Hello guys, in today's video we are going to see about integrated rate equations. We have already discussed for a general reaction like this A moles of A plus B moles of B giving CC plus DD. You can write the rate expression as rate is equal to minus D concentration of the reactants by dt, which will be equal to K, which is rate constant, concentration of A power alpha, concentration of B power beta, where the sum of these two, alpha plus beta, gives you the order of the reaction. This equation is called differential rate equation. This form of the equation is not convenient to determine the rate law and hence the order of the reaction, because here we are actually using instantaneous rate. And we know instantaneous rate has to be determined from the slope of the tangent at time t in the graph of concentration versus time. This measurement is not only inconvenient but also lacks accuracy quite often. So to overcome this difficulty, we usually integrate the differential rate equation of any order. In the previous video, we have seen what is order and how we classify chemical reactions based on the order. We have zero order, first order, second order, third order, and so on. So we are going to integrate the differential equation for the reaction of any order. That differentiation gives you an equation which relates directly time, concentration at different time, and rate constant. So the integrated rate equations are different for reactions of different order. So in this video we are going to derive integrated rate equation for zero and first order reactions. Let's start with zero order reaction. Let's take a reaction A giving products. We know a zero order reaction implies that the reaction rate is proportional to the zero power of the concentration of the reactants. See, for this reaction, the instantaneous rate can be written as minus dA. A is the reactant. Minus dA by dt is equal to rate constant K into concentration of A power 0. What is the 0? This represents the order of the reaction. As we are talking about zero order reaction, we are putting 0 here. So anything past 0 will be equal to 1. So this can be written as minus dA by dt is equal to K. What is K? Rate constant. We are rearranging this equation like this. Minus dA, we are taking this dt to this side, is equal to K dt. Or you can take this negative to the other side. So you are getting an equation D concentration of A is equal to minus K dt. Now we are going to integrate both sides. See, integration dA is equal to minus integration K dt. So when you integrate, you would have studied these formulae in math. Integration of dx is equal to x. So integrating this gives you concentration of A, which is equal to integrating this gives you Kt. See, minus is as such. So concentration of A is equal to minus Kt plus I. Here I is the constant of integration or integration constant. We can calculate the value of I from the initial conditions, that is when t is equal to 0. What is t? Time. When t is equal to 0, concentration of the reactant, which is A here, concentration of A would be equal to A naught. This is the initial concentration. Now I'm going to substitute these values in this equation. I've written this equation as equation 1. So instead of t, I'm going to put 0. Instead of this concentration of A, I'm going to take the initial concentration. So see, A naught is equal to minus K into 0 plus I. So that gives you I is equal to concentration of A naught, which means initial concentration. We are doing this to find the value of I. So how can you find the value of I? By taking the initial conditions, experimental conditions, which means when time is equal to 0, concentration of the reactant will be equal to A naught. So now what is the value of I? concentration of A naught. So we are going to substitute this here. Instead of this I, we are going to write this here. So what do I get? Concentration of A minus KT plus concentration A naught. Or this can be written as KT is equal to A naught minus A. I'm bringing this A naught here and then bringing this negative also to the other side. I'm getting KT is equal to A naught minus A. And other way of writing this is K is equal to A naught minus concentration of A divided by T. Now what is K? K is the rate constant, T is the time, A naught is the initial concentration of the reactant, and A is the concentration of the reactant at time T. So this is the integrated rate equation for zero order. Just look at this. You can write it in any of these forms. So all this represent the integrated rate equation of a zero order reaction. Now we will see some of the characteristics of the zero order reaction. Before that, when we derived this integrated rate equation for zero order reaction, we took an equation A giving products. In your book, they would have given R giving products. If that is the case, then instead of A, you have to put R naught, R divided by T. So now tell me, what is K? K is the rate constant. R naught is the initial concentration of the reactant. R is the concentration of the reactant at time T, and T is the time taken. So this is the integrated rate equation for a zero order reaction. Now the first characteristic of zero order reaction. When you draw a graph by plotting the concentration of the reactant versus time, then you will get a straight line. Look at this graph. This is drawn between concentration of the reactant and concentration of the reactant and the time taken. You will get a straight line. So here the slope gives you minus K value and the intercept gives you initial concentration of the reactant. So remember, when you draw a graph between the concentration of the reactants at different time and the time, you will get a straight line, and the slope of the line gives you minus K value, which means the rate constant value, and the intercept gives you the initial concentration. And the second point, when you draw a graph between concentration of the reactant and the rate of the reaction, you will get a straight line, but that line will be parallel to the concentration axis. Now see, you're drawing a graph between the rate of the reaction and the concentration of the reactant. We will be having different concentration at different times. So for each concentration, you're drawing a graph for different rate of the reaction. So you are getting a straight line parallel to the concentration axis. Sometimes they will give you the graph and they'll ask you what order reaction is that, or they'll give you the graph and they'll ask you what do you get from the slope, what is the intercept. So you should be very clear with the graph. And now we're going to derive an expression for half-life period. Before that, let's define what is half-life. Half-life period is the time taken to complete half of the reaction, and that is represented as T half. So what is T half? The time taken to complete half of the reaction, which means the initial concentration becomes half. So at T half, the concentration of the reactant will be equal to half of the initial concentration, which means initial concentration can be taken as R naught. Half means divided by 2. So at T half, which means at half-life, concentration of the reactant will be equal to R naught by 2. Now take this expression and you're going to substitute this R value here, this value here. So what do you get? K is equal to R naught minus R by T. So instead of R, we are going to put R naught by 2, because instead of T, we are going to put T half. So at T half, this will be equal to R naught by 2. So K is equal to R naught minus R naught by 2 divided by T half. So which means 1 minus half, because both are same expression, R naught and R naught. So you will get what? Half, which means 1 by 2. See, R naught here, R naught minus R naught by 2 will give you R naught by 2. So you are writing here as R naught by 2 into T half. So that is equal to K, or you can write T half is equal to R naught by K. So from this expression you can conclude half-life period of a zero order reaction is directly proportional to the initial concentration of the reactant. See, T half is equal to 1 by K into R naught. So when you have a constant here, you can put a proportionality taking that constant. So T half is proportional to R naught. So remember, when you take a zero order reaction, the half-life period, which means the time taken to complete half of the reaction, depends upon the initial concentration of the reactant. Depends upon how much initial reactant concentration you are taking. Based on that only, the half-life period will be determined. So we have derived the integrated rate equation for zero order reaction and also the half-life period for a zero order reaction. And as I told you, remember, half-life period for a zero order reaction depends upon the initial concentration of the reactant. Now we will move on to the first order reaction. We know in a first order reaction, the rate of the reaction is directly proportional to the concentration of the reactant. So let's take a reaction R giving products. For this, instantaneous reaction rate can be written as minus dR by dt is equal to K into concentration of R par 2. Sorry, 1. Why do we put 1 here? Because we are taking a first order reaction. So we are putting 1 here. So that represents the first order reaction. We can rearrange this as minus dR by concentration of R. So we are bringing this R here, keeping all this R together. So minus dR divided by R and taking this dt to the other side, K dt. So minus d concentration of R divided by concentration of R is equal to K dt. Now we are going to integrate on both sides. On integrating, see, minus integration dr by R, which is equal to K dt. K is a constant, we cannot integrate that, so we are bringing it out into dt. So when you integrate this, this is like minus dx by x. When you integrate minus dx by x, you will get ln x. So here x is R, concentration of R. So you get minus this minus ln concentration of R is equal to K. If you integrate dt, you are getting t, which is equal to kt plus I. As I told you already, I is the integration constant. How can we find the value of I? By taking the initial conditions. See, when t is equal to 0, concentration of R will be equal to R naught. Now substituting these values in this expression, you will get minus ln R naught, which is equal to K into 0 plus I. So what do you get? Minus ln R naught, which is equal to K into 0 plus I. So this becomes 0. I will be equal to minus ln R naught. I is equal to minus ln R naught. Now substitute this value of I here. So when you substitute this value, you are getting minus ln R, which is equal to kt plus ln R naught. But for I, what value you got? Minus ln R naught. So you are putting minus ln R naught. Now we are going to rearrange this equation. So we are bringing this ln R naught this side. So that becomes plus. So ln R naught minus ln R is equal to kt. Or you can write ln R naught by R, because just like how we treat log, this ln is nothing but natural logarithm, and ln is equal to 2.303 log to the base 10. We are very familiar with the log to the base 10, and this is the relationship between natural logarithm and log to the base 10. So ln is equal to 2.303 log 10. So when you have log x minus log y, how will you write? Log x divided by y. So same way, ln R naught minus ln R can be written as ln R naught by R, which is equal to kt. Or you can write k is equal to 1 by t. See, k is equal to 1 by t ln R naught by R. Now, if you want to convert this ln into log to the base 10, you're going to multiply Okay, take this out, and instead of that we are going to write 2.303 log to the base 10. So you will get it here. So K is equal to 2.303 by T log concentration of R naught divided by concentration of R. Now this is the integrated rate equation for first order reaction. What is K? Rate constant. T is the time taken. R naught is the initial concentration of the reactant, and R is the concentration of the reactant at any time T. Anytime T. This equation can also be written in an alternate form. When we derived that expression, we took R as the reactant. So if the initial concentration of R, that is R naught, is equal to A mole inverse, after time T, X mole inverse of the reactant changes to products. So we are taking A moles of the reactant R, and after some time T, X moles of that initial concentration changed into products. So what will be the concentration of the remaining reactants? A minus X. So A minus X is nothing but the concentration of R. Because when we wrote that expression, I told you R naught is the initial concentration and R is the concentration of the reactant after some time. So if A is the initial concentration, then A minus X will be the concentration of the reactant remaining after time T. So instead of R naught and R, we can put these values. So you can write K is equal to 2.303 by T log A by A minus X. We have something called exponential form of the integrated rate equation. So this equation for the first order can be written in any of these forms. See, ln R naught by R, which is equal to KT. That is the integrated rate equation of the first order. So this can be written as R naught by R e power KT. This is the exponential form. Or R by R naught. See the reciprocal. R by R naught is equal to e power minus KT. Or R is equal to R naught into e power minus KT. So any of these forms, they are all the same. They all represent the integrated rate equation of a first order reaction. We will not be using these expressions anywhere in the problems. We will be using this as a formula. Now let's see some of the characteristics of the first order reaction. When I told you about the characteristics of the zero order reaction, I told you you get a straight line when you draw a graph between concentration of the reactant and time. That actually shows you the validity of the equation. So you can check the validity of the equation by this graphical method. We are going to draw two graphs. The first graph is the plot between ln R versus time t. What is R? The concentration of the reactant. So ln R is taken on the y-axis and time on the x-axis. So you will get a straight line, and the slope of this graph gives you minus k. And in another graph, we are going to plot log R naught by R versus time. See, on the y-axis, log R naught by R values are taken, and in x-axis, time is taken. Again, you are getting a straight line like this. Here you get a straight line this way. Here you are getting a straight line like this. And this slope of this plot gives you minus k by 2.303. So these are the two graphs we draw for a first order reaction. And the slope of these graphs gives you the value of k. Now coming to the half-life period of first order reaction. Let's take the integrated rate equation. We actually wrote like k is equal to 2.303 by t log a by a minus x. Since we are going to find out t half value, we are bringing this t here. T is equal to 2.303 by k log a by a minus x. And you know what is half-life period? It is the time taken to complete half of the reaction. So when time is equal to t half, what will be the concentration of the reactant left? That will be equal to x. See, just now I told you A is the initial concentration and x is the number of moles reacted. At t half, half of the initial concentration has been changed into products. So X will be equal to A by 2. So when T is equal to T half, X will be equal to A by 2, half of the initial concentration. So when you substitute these values here, T becomes T half, 2.303 by K log A by A minus, what is X? A by 2. So when you solve this, you are getting 2. Because if you take LCM here, 2A minus A by 2, this 2 goes to the numerator. So you will get 2A by 2A minus A. So you will get 2A by A and A gets cancelled, you will get 2. So log 2. So T half is equal to 2.303 by K, and log 2 value, when you look into the logarithmic table, you will get a value of 0.3010. So when you multiply, you will get T half is equal to 0.693 by K. When you look at this T half expression, you cannot find the concentration of the reactant. But when you derive the half-life period for expression for zero order, we got T half is equal to concentration of R naught by K. So we concluded the half-life period of a zero order reaction depends upon the initial concentration. But here we don't have any initial concentration. So you can conclude half-life period of a first order reaction is independent of the initial concentration. So no matter what concentration of the reactant you take, half-life period of a first order reaction does not depend upon that concentration. But in the case of zero order, the half-life period depends upon the initial concentration. So the question will be like, show that the half-life period of a first order reaction does not depend upon the initial concentration of the reactant. Then you have to do this derivation and then write this expression and then write this shows half-life period is independent of the initial concentration. Same way, if they ask you show that zero order reaction, the half-life period depends upon the initial concentration, same way you have to derive that expression. You can start from here, from the integrated rate equation. You need not do the derivation for integrated rate equation and then come for half-life. You can start from here and then get the expression for the half-life period. We have derived the integrated rate equation of a first order reaction. Now we are going to find out the integrated rate equation for the first order reaction for gas phase reactions. When the reaction is carried out in gaseous phase, we have a different integrated rate equation for the same first order reactions. Let us consider an example of a first order reaction taking place in gaseous phase. See, A in gaseous phase giving B plus C. Now let the initial pressure of A is the reactant here. Let the initial pressure of A be P naught atm atmosphere. So initially B and C would not have been formed because they are the products. So only A is present, so we are taking P naught atm as the initial pressure of A. For B and C it's 0. After some time T, there is P atm pressure decrease in A. So when we started, the pressure of A was P naught atm. When the reaction proceeds, there is a decrease in the pressure of A, and that decrease is equal to the small p. So after time T, what will be the pressure of A? To begin with, it was P naught. After some time, there is a decrease P. So now the remaining pressure will be equal to P naught minus P. So B and C, they are formed. So we have P atm for B and P atm for C. We have studied about this in grade 11 in chemical equilibrium. So the decrease in pressure of A is small p and the increase in the pressure of B and C will be P. So that's the reason why we've written P atm here, P atm, and the decrease here is P. So the remaining pressure of A will be equal to P naught minus P atm. Let's take PT as the total pressure. So from this equation, we can write PT is equal to pressure of A plus pressure of B plus pressure of C. So what is pressure of A? P naught minus P. What is pressure of B? P, and same way pressure of C is P. So P naught minus P plus P and plus P. So that gives you the total pressure. So minus P and plus P gets cancelled. So PT is equal to P naught plus P ATM. Or you can write small p, this P is equal to PT minus P naught. I'll say it again. What is P naught? Initial pressure of A. What is PT? Pressure of A after time t. What is small p? Increase in the pressure of A or decrease in the pressure of B and C. So keep this expression as such. Coming back here, what is this P naught minus P? This is the pressure of A after time t. This is the remaining pressure. We started with P naught, small p is decrease. So P naught minus P is the actual pressure of A after some time t. Let's represent this as PA. So PA is nothing but pressure of A after time t. So that is nothing but P naught minus P. So just now we have found the small p is equal to PT minus P naught. Substitute this value here. So you will get P naught minus, instead of this P, we are going to write PT minus P naught. So PA is equal to, see, when you solve this, you get 2 P naught minus PT. Now, when you take the first order rate equation, just now we have derived, K is equal to 2.303 by T log R naught by R. What is this R naught? Initial concentration of the reactant. This is the concentration of the reactant after some time t. Now we are going to modify this for gaseous phase reaction. So what is this R naught? Initial concentration. So here we are going to put initial pressure. What is this R? Concentration of the reactant after time t. Instead of this, we are going to put pressure of the reactant after time t. So P naught by PA. So P naught is the initial pressure of the reactant. So keep it as such, P naught. What is PA? We just found 2 P naught minus PT. So instead of PA, we are going to put 2 P naught minus PT. So this is the integrated rate equation for a first order gas phase reaction. Let's have a recall. What is P naught? The initial concentration of the reactant. What is PT? The total pressure of the reaction mixture after time t. So this is the gas phase reactions integrated rate equation. This is for the first order reaction. So we have seen the integrated rate equation for zero order and first order reactions. So before we end up this video, let's have a short recall of all that we have seen in this video. See, order, zero order, first order, reaction type, R giving products, here also R giving products. How will you write the differential rate law for zero order? dr by dt is equal to minus k, because the power will be equal to 0, so you will not take that. So in the case of first order, dr by dt is equal to minus k into r power 1, because this is first order. How will you write the integrated rate law? For zero order, kt is equal to r naught minus r, initial concentration minus concentration of the reactant after time t. Here k is equal to, this is for first order, 2.303 by t log r naught by r. And this is the half-life period. For zero order, r naught by 2k. For first order, 0.693 by k. So this half-life period of zero order depends upon the initial concentration, whereas for first order, half-life is independent of the initial concentration. And this for first order can also be written as k is equal to 2.303 by t log a by a minus x. And this expression is for the gas phase, and this is also for first order reactions. So k is equal to 2.303 by t log p naught by 2 p naught minus pt. So while solving problems, we will be using all these expressions. Thank you. Guys, I just want to include one more topic in this video. Pseudo first order reactions. When we discussed about order, we have seen there are different chemical reactions which can be classified on the basis of order. We call that a zero order reaction, first order reaction, second order reaction, third order reaction, and we even had fractional orders also. When do we call a chemical reaction a first order reaction? A reaction is said to be of first order if the rate of the reaction depends upon one concentration term only, which means it depends upon the concentration of any one of the reactants. Then we call that as first order reaction. Now consider this general reaction, A plus B giving products. Here order with respect to each reactant is 1, so that the overall order of the reaction is 2. So you can write the rate law as rate is equal to rate constant into concentration of A into concentration of B. So 1 plus 1 equals 2. So the overall order of the reaction is 2. However, if one of the reactants is present in excess, large excess, example, one of the reactants may be a solvent, then its concentration will remain almost constant throughout the reaction. In such cases, the rate of the reaction will depend only on the concentration of the reactant present in smaller amount. So now the reaction becomes first order reaction. So when one of the reactants is present in excess, its concentration is not going to affect the rate of the reaction. So the rate of the reaction depends only on one concentration only. Even though it appears to be of second order, it is actually a first order. So such reactions which are not truly of the first order but under certain conditions become reactions of the first order are called pseudo first order reactions. Pseudo means false. So this is actually not a first order, but because one of the reactant is present in excess, this becomes a first order reaction. A very good example of this pseudo first order reaction is hydrolysis of ester. When you treat ester with water in the presence of an acid, see, ethyl acetate, this is an ester. COO is the functional group of ester, ethyl acetate, and you're treating it with water in the presence of H+, you're getting two products, acetic acid and ethyl alcohol. So to understand this concept, when time is equal to 0, the concentration, initial concentration of ethyl acetate is 0.01 mole and water is 10 mole because you're taking one of the reactants in excess amount. And the product acetic acid 0 mole because time is equal to 0. At time t, all the ethyl acetate has been reacted, so it is 0 mole. But of the 10 ml that you have taken, only 0.1 ml has reacted. So what is remaining? 9.9 mole. So here, since only 0.01 mole of water has reacted, the remaining 9.9 mole is as such. So the product acetic acid, you're getting 0.01 mole and ethyl alcohol also 0.01 mole. So when you write the rate is equal to, we are taking this as K dash. I'll tell you why we are taking this as K dash. This is nothing but the rate constant. Concentration of ethyl acetate into concentration of water. Now concentration of H2O is not changing much because you have taken 10 ml, only 0.01 ml has reacted. So when you look at it, you can say the concentration of the water is constant. So multiplying this K dash, which is a constant, with this constant, you will get K. So this is the actual rate constant and this is the actual rate law. So rate is equal to K. This K is actually K dash into this water. This actually means one of the reactant is in excess, so it does not affect the rate of the reaction. So the rate actually depends only on the concentration of ethyl acetate, which means only one reactant's concentration. See, since K dash into H2O is equal to a constant. So such reactions which are not truly of the first order but under certain conditions. What condition is this? One of the reactant, here the water is present in excess, it becomes a reaction of first order. Such reactions are called pseudo first order reaction. One more example is inversion of cane sugar. See, C12H22O11, which is sucrose, reacting with excess of water in the presence of H+, giving you glucose and fructose. So rate is equal to K into C12H22O11 concentration. So this is pseudo first order reaction. Thank you.